Hello everyone, it's Thomas Curry of the Northeast Wrestling Podcast, and today we've got on the show, we're sitting here at Shield Pro Wrestling with Joseph Biggs.
Afternoon.
So I've got quite a few questions for you. Hopefully we'll get through all of them. So the first question is, who or what has been your biggest influence since you started wrestling?
Good question. Like, in WWE or just around the Northeast?
Both. Just tell WWE first and then go Northeast.
Because at the minute I'm probably the worst kind of wrestling fan. I like Roman Reigns and John Cena. I don't know. I enjoy the fact that they piss everyone off.
Yeah.
But I'm into Seth Rollins and Neville as well.
Yeah.
They're probably like my favourite like workers, I guess. But here in the Northeast, probably guys like Rampage, like the guys I train with at NGW, Primate and Screwface and Drake and all them lots.
Yeah.
I never know how to end sentences. This is probably going to happen a lot.
Yeah, they're all good guys to watch. Like, I would say Rampage is probably one of the best.
Oh, easily.
Like, not just in the Northeast, one of the best in Britain, I'd say.
Like I've been training there nearly a year now, and
Yeah.
I kind of wish I'd done it sooner.
Yeah.
I knew that if I started training there, I would have wanted to have done it sooner, but I just had to kind of motivate myself to go along one day. I think like the reason it stopped me going so soon was because it was a bit out the way, and I didn't really know what to expect, I guess. I knew it was a lot of cardio, but it's kind of helped me improve mine a lot.
Yeah.
I'm not blowing up in matches anymore at the minute like I used to, so that's always good. But yeah, it's one of the best places to train.
It definitely is. I've trained there a bit on and off. The reason I didn't start early was like it's a bit of intimidation, really, like because there's so many good workers who go there, like say Rampage, Primate, Drake, all them. So I was a bit like worried, and obviously like cardio there is like.
They were probably my two big issues at first. Because like you've got a bunch of schools in the Northeast now. I think there's about 6. I sit and counted it one day because that's what I do in my spare time.
Yeah. Yeah, I would definitely say that's probably one of the best places to go to get like everything down, like how to put things into matches psychology wise.
There's been guys travelling like down from Scotland and up from Leeds and everything to get there. Like people are coming from all over.
Yeah, I think it might have been the last time I went to training there. I might have been, because I haven't been there for a couple of months, but last time I went to training there, Saxon Huxley was there.
Oh yeah.
And I hadn't seen him before. I knew he was on. I didn't know. I heard he was on Rise afterwards, but I didn't know that. I didn't know that at the time, and he told us that he had been training with like Lance Storm for a bit, and then Brian Kendrick. And I remember, because I hadn't really seen him train or anything, so I didn't know how good he was. And then I remember literally watching the UK tournament, and I was like, "What? Is that him from training?"
Was that like in the tournament or when they announced it? Or were you just like watching the tournament and he walked out?
I didn't even know he was announced. He just, like, I was just watching it and he just came out and what? And then I was like, I'm sure that's who was at training like, a few weeks ago. But
like I did a seminar there last summer. It was the Dave Taylor seminar, sorry. And Joe Hendry was there.
Yeah.
Like that was weird. Like everyone goes.
I wasn't at that one, like, but I heard.
Oh, it was good.
So has wrestling affected any relationships from like family, friends, girlfriends, anything like that?
My family haven't really been supportive of it, I guess. Ever since I started, like they've just been trying to talk me out of it, saying it's dangerous, which it can be, but you know the risks. With friends and that, I didn't really have many friends until I started it. I was that one loner kid in school. so I'd hang around with people there, but very few kind of were into wrestling as well. And now pretty much everyone I know, aside from like people at Rise or college and all that, are from wrestling. But with girlfriends and that, I kind of avoid them now because I usually end up wasting time on complete tramps. So
Yeah.
I tend not to worry about that now. It's never really affected any relationships I've been in, but it's too much of a distraction now, and someone just screamed out there.
Yeah, I can see that. So are you, like, family still like that now? They try to talk you out of it?
I guess they're a bit more supportive now, but that's only because they don't really mention it.
Right.
I've brought some of them to like some of the shows and that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually led to a lecture about how I shouldn't be taking some of the bumps I do, and it's too dangerous and I could get really hurt, and why would I like climb to the top rope and that. I once got told that's not what the top rope's for, you shouldn't be going up there. And I had to explain that it kind of is.
Yeah.
Even just like I injured my knee a few years back.
Mm-hmm.
And I got like days of lectures for that about how like I need to think of how it could affect like jobs and that, and then I had to explain that I don't have a job yet, so there's not really any problem there.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I haven't really had much support from family or anything.
Right. Well, was it how you expected it to be, wrestling, like before you got into it and now? Was it, how different was it? Or?
It was quite a lot different actually.
Yeah.
Because before I'd started training about 4 years ago, I was told that wrestling was fake and nothing was real, like nothing at all.
Yeah.
The ring was like a trampoline and all that. So I remember my first session, we started off with clotheslines.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to throw a clothesline and I stopped right before I hit the chest,
Mm-hmm.
and I made like no contact at all. And I thought to myself, oh, that was really good. I made it look so real. And then as soon as it was my turn to take them, I just got... Am I allowed to swear in this, by the way?
Yeah, you can swear.
I just got fucking laced and laced. And after one round of clotheslines, that kind of made me think, like, this isn't what I was expecting, but that's maybe not a bad thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was all on crash mats as well, so I didn't get to experience a ring until the next week, where I got to take my first bumps. Like, I think I took a body slam, because we had a show that day, so we'd finished setting up, so they let the new kids have a go in the ring, like to run the ropes and all that.
Uh-huh.
I took a few bumps, and I hadn't really got the whole idea of tucking my head at that point, so I kind of landed on my head a little bit on one of them and got a nosebleed. So that kind of taught me to learn to bump properly. And I've been fine ever since.
Aye.
But it was a lot more real, I guess, than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm. Was that at Radpro? Was that where you started your first training?
Back when they used to train here, actually, Tutor Reeds.
Did they used to train here? Did they?
They trained here like... I don't know when it started, but my first session was January 12th, 2013.
Alright.
I came along to a training session with a friend because he'd done some research on local wrestling schools.
Mm-hmm.
We found this place, so we came along. I've had a total brain fart there. We came along and just... He didn't last very long, but I just stuck it out.
Alright.
And
So he's not wrestling anymore?
no, he kind of quit after a few sessions. I wanted to quit after the first session, just because of how painful it was, because I took clotheslines. I remember there was a lot of chops that session, mainly on me, because I was acting like a tit.
Aye.
I wore a CM Punk shirt and started doing loads of John Cena impressions, and that didn't translate too well to everyone else, so they beat me up.
I was going to say that my first session I had to do bumping and feeding.
Ooh.
I nearly passed out. I was so tired.
I think I remember your first session, because that was right after my knee injury, and I came along on crutches to just sit and watch.
Yeah, that was right, yeah.
And I remember sitting there thinking, like, because loads of new people had started in that time,
Yeah.
and I think you were one of the only ones that, like, stuck it out, because, like, I've seen loads of people come and go.
Yeah. I think there was a couple.
I remember sitting there thinking, like, wondering how long I'd actually been away, because, like, there was so many new guys,
Aye.
and I feel like I just totally missed out on all of them starting.
Aye. I remember that. I remember you being on crutches as well, because I didn't know you were a wrestler at the time, because I'd never seen
Most
you.
people don't, I'm shit.
I didn't really speak to you that much then, so I didn't really know. And we were working on stuff for the website, the RevPro website.
Oh
at the time.
god, I remember I put hours and hours and hours into that, and then it was only online for like about 2 months before Georgie forgot to pay the bill.
And got taken down.
It's been months on that.
So, like when you're working, do you prefer to work heel or face?
I actually prefer to do both. I've like worked a lot of companies at the minute, and I'm kind of 50-50 in most of them. Like, I was working Full Tilt last night, and I was heel there.
Right.
Tonight I've got Shield and I'm face, and MPW is tomorrow and I'm back heel again. So it's just kind of wherever I'm booked. I prefer being heel because you get to be a dick, and I just feel like it's easier to get a reaction if you're heel. Like, it's much easier to be hated than liked.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But at the same time, I like being face because you get to do more flashy shit that you can't really do as a heel.
Aye.
Because if you're heel and you're doing like moonsaults and flips and all that sort of thing, and the face isn't doing them, then it just looks a bit weird.
Yeah, that was probably the problem with Seth Rollins. Like when he was heel, like on his run, like, he was a great heel, but in the ring he was like a babyface because he was that flashy.
I think it was a good idea to turn him face, but then you get the people complaining like, oh, we don't like face Rollins. But it's the same people that for months were begging for him to turn face, and now they just complain.
Yeah.
It's why I hate wrestling fans.
Yeah. Nicky Starr said the same thing when he was on the podcast.
Hi, Aaron.
He said that it's a lot easier to get hated than to be liked, which I've never worked face, but I can imagine.
I've wrestled Aaron quite a lot now, and I think we've done like pretty much every combination we can, apart from maybe heel versus heel. But we've done face versus face. Sometimes I've been the heel, sometimes he's been the heel. It's just, it changes all the time. We've had some good matches. Some of them, well, actually I promised I would mention this one. The one where I dropped the title to him.
Yeah.
We forgot pretty much everything that match.
He said the exact same thing.
It was the main event of a Rad Pro show, and we only went about 10 minutes because we just weren't in the zone that day, I guess.
Yeah.
I still remember the finish. I had him in the corner and I was giving him strikes, and I was asking him like, what comes next? and he was like asking me the same thing. So there's about a minute where we're in the corner striking each other and like trying to like call something, and it just starts to get awkward.
Yeah.
And then I send him off, and then I suddenly remember what's meant to come. And then we just finish it, and after I take the pin, I'm just lying there thinking, fuck, that's over.
What do you think? What do you feel the biggest struggle has been since you started wrestling?
The biggest what?
It's like struggle. What do you think like has been the hardest like thing to, I don't know whether to do or to adapt to or anything, something like that? Like,
I don't know if it's really a struggle, but there was a point where I was like pretty frustrated with what I was doing in wrestling, and I didn't really want to do it that much at that point. I'd been on shows for about a year. My first show was May the 3rd, 2014. I can remember like all the dates of like everything. I'd been on shows like about a year at that point, and it was just like Rad Pro shows back then. It was before I really started to get outside bookings. I'd wrestle like once every month, and to me that was fine. I enjoyed it. And at the stage I was, it was about where I should have been maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But about a year after I'd been on shows, summer of 2015, I was starting to like see people who'd been doing it less time than me get like booked ahead of me and get more outside bookings and get like more opportunities and that. And I wasn't like thinking, oh, I deserve all the opportunities and that. But I was like thinking like, well, I've been doing it this long. They've been on shows about 4 months. And like I was trying to figure out what was going on, and there was like a few shows where I was in the crowd and they were on it, and like I'm not saying they didn't deserve it or anything, because like they were like some of the more talented ones that came out of Rad Pro, but I was just getting frustrated by the whole thing and not really getting any kind of bookings. But I eventually managed to get a full tilt booking at the end of the summer, and then I started to get booked more there. So before that, I was thinking like, oh, if I don't start to turn my luck around soon, I'm probably just gonna quit, because I was getting like, it wasn't really fun in the end. Like I didn't know what I was doing in Rad Pro. I didn't really have any storylines or anything, and it was at the point where the trainees were starting to run the company more than the actual boss was.
Yeah.
So there was no direction and nothing to really kind of look for. So that was annoying. That was one of my biggest struggles, I guess. And then I eventually started looking for other training schools, and I started to get booked more places. And then I finally managed to branch out and get about more.
I've experienced that as well. Like, especially last year.
Yeah.
I wasn't booked on anything, and it just quite frustrating. Like you say, like you could see people on other shows who you feel like you're better than, or not that they didn't deserve it, but I just feel like maybe I was
like, if you were given the chance, you could do it better.
Yeah, and that was the most frustrating thing for me, not being able to like show what I could do.
I hated it.
Like, that's the most annoying thing for sure for me.
Just, I know there's a lot of people who've probably like witnessed that, and some who feel like they should be booked ahead of others. It's just one of them things.
Yeah. Is there a specific wrestling model, anything off in the ring or character-wise or anything like that?
I like Primate's beard. He has a very good beard. His physique as well. But mainly the beard. It's what I've been aiming for a while.
Insane growing.
It's about 3 weeks progress at this point, so I'm getting there. I'd say like people's physique and people's gear, but I don't really have like a set one in mind. It's just I look at some people's gear and like the quality of it's brilliant. Yeah. And I look into like where they got it and how much it is, and I think, oh well, I'll just stick to what I'm wearing for now.
Would you say anything in the ring? Like, does anyone you model anything off in the ring, like his style or like
probably Neville. Some of the shit he's doing at the minute is just brilliant. Like all the flips and stuff. Well, that as well. I liked him as face, but I don't feel like he's really had much of a direction until he turned heel, and he's one of the guys that I didn't really think would be able to pull off heel. Like, you look at some of the guys in WWE and you think like, oh, if they turn, they've got no chance, and then they do it and they totally prove you wrong.
He definitely done a good job. Like, I said they should have turned him heel a while ago just to see how it would work.
I wasn't too sure. Like, I'd always thought like, oh, he could be like a really good face if like they give him some direction, but he could do both really with direction, and obviously shown how good he can do as a heel. As a heel, he's just had a lot more mic time, and he's more relevant now than he's ever been.
Is there anything like you hate about wrestling?
All of it. Just every single bit of it. I know that like people have talked about the politics and egos and all of that, so I'd probably just say all of that, what people have covered.
That's probably the two main things that I hate about wrestling, like, to be honest.
People who have egos that they don't really have any right to have.
Yeah.
And people just, well, the politics, that was another like frustrating point for me, because around the same time that I saw people getting booked elsewhere, politics were just getting really bad, and just where I was training and that at the time, I just wasn't enjoying it anymore.
Right.
Politics were like, if it was just what happens in the ring and none of the backstage like bullshit and any of that, it would be fine mostly.
Yeah.
Apart from injuries and that, because they're quite bad as well. I forgot about them. If it was literally just what happens in the ring and nothing else, it would be fine. I probably wouldn't have a problem with it.
Yeah. Like you mentioned, like Primate and Rampage and everyone before, they're great workers who don't have that much of an ego. They know how good they are.
Yeah.
They know how good they are, but they're not like bragging and stuff
exactly.
like that. And that's the kind of people that you like.
Yeah, the most kind.
You'll find out the most successful people are usually the people who aren't as cocky and stuff like that, because they know like what it's like to be like
looked up to.
Like kind of like looked to as a good worker or person to work with. So, no. Hobbies outside of wrestling.
Oh, wow. I don't really do much outside wrestling. I'm quite boring. Well, actually, I like music, as I'm wearing an all-time low shirt, even though nobody listening to this can see it. Also, I'm going to see them tonight, which I'm happy about.
Yeah.
Just rubbing salt in the wound if Aaron's still listening.
Oh, is he not going?
He was going to get a ticket, but they sold out, so he can't go now. So
still.
I'm just going to deliberately Snapchat him lots and lots tonight. I like all my Scene Kid bands. And the gym, if that counts as being separate to wrestling.
Gym, it's something you really need as well, the gym. Robbie Ryder was saying on the podcast, I asked him at the end what advice he would give to himself, a younger version of himself, and he said go to the gym, because it is something you need these days, especially like, if for nothing else, just cardio and like just your appearance. You get booked a lot more if you...
Oh, it definitely helps.
Yeah.
I remember I did a seminar with AJ Anderson a few years ago with Rag Pro, and some of the advice he gave at the end was like, start going to the gym and like get a membership or something. And at the time, I didn't think like too much of it, but as I kind of progressed and I started to see like some of the more booked guys in the country and like some of the shapes they're in, it started to like make a lot more sense. And I've had a gym membership for like about 1.5 years now. It's where I waste all my student grant money on gym and wrestling gear. I'm not spending that on actual learning facilities and all that. But there's like a gym about 15 minutes from my house, and I'm there like nearly every day. And anyone who's got me on Snapchat will probably know that, because I like to post it on my story with a little motivational quote, put a nice filter on it, put a bicep emoji, and then just send it to people who I want to annoy.
Usually Snapchat, on your Snapchat I usually say your dog and gym.
It's either a dog, gym, or just drunk shit.
Oh yeah, drunk shit.
My amazing drunk shit posting.
Everyone.
Or Rise.
Oh,
actually, that counts as drunk stuff.
Yeah. Everyone who's got you on Facebook will have seen your live streams.
It's what I'm known for outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
I've legit had people come up to me in Rise and be like, "Oh, you're the guy who does the live streams," and I'm like, "Yeah, but I wrestle as well. Are you not going to mention that?"
No, just a drunk live stream. So, what's some of your favourite bands? You said All Time Low.
Yes.
I think he started on that exact same thing because he had a fuzzy shirt on when we were doing it. Now I was thinking, nobody's going to be able to see it.
Aaron was once going to get an All Time Low tattoo, and he's probably going to deny that, but he once told me like, when I first met him. So, just for everyone to know. I like Asking Alexandria. I've been to see them with Aaron.
Yeah.
I went to see Attila with an injured knee. I injured my knee on like a show, and then I went to see Attila 2 days later, which was probably a stupid move, but
Yeah.
I don't really care. It's the best concert I've been to.
Is it?
Hopefully until tonight, 'cause
Uh-huh.
I've been waiting 5 years to see All Time Low now.
Really?
They were in Newcastle a few years ago. I say a lot, I've just realised.
Yeah,
They were in Newcastle in 2014, and I had no one to go with at the time. And then I met this lass who was going to agree to go with me. So I waited until she was ready to get tickets. We were going to get them on the Saturday. They sold out on the Thursday. And I was in college when I found out, and I checked the website, the O2 Academy one, and saw that they'd sold out. So I kind of dismissed myself from class for a moment. So I could go to the toilet and like scream for a bit, and I punched the wall as hard as I could because I was gutted. So luckily that's not happened this year, but I used to really like Black Veil Brides as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been to see them a few times. Even though I never listen to them now because it's Black Veil Brides, I'd probably still go and see them again. I don't hate them now, but they used to be my entrance music, and I kind of grew to fucking despise that song.
Hot Fire.
Oh gosh. Every time someone plays it now, I just leave.
I know. I remember I was playing it was Guitar Hero Live or something, and it came on. And I recorded it.
I hate that song. Like, part of the reason I don't like it was because I really wanted to change it. Because when I first chose to come out of that song, it suited me. Like, it suited just me at the time. And then I turned heel in Rad Pro, so I stopped using it. And then when I eventually turned face, I was like a totally different character, I guess, to what I was a year before that. But I was still using Heart of Fire, so I would ask like, can I change this song? I've got a new one I want to use. And I feel like they were just ribbing me, because every time I'd ask, they'd just tell me like, oh no, you keep that song. It suits you very well. We're not letting you change that.
Aye.
So one day I just changed it without telling them, because fuck them. I want new music. And that's the one I'm still using today, which is better than Black Veil Brides, thankfully. Of Mice and Men as well. They're good.
Of Mice and Men.
I've got trunks now that say Of Mice and Bigs.
I was just about to say, what was the other one you got? Of Mice and Bigs, and what's the other one?
They were Attila themed, the green ones.
Oh, right.
I've only won each of them pairs once, because I've got more gear at the minute than I know what to do with. I've got 6 pairs of trunks and 1 pair of tights, so on the off chance that I was ever booked like every day of the week, I'm covered. But a man can dream.
So who would you say best friends are in wrestling? I would imagine Nicky Star's one of them.
He's a prick, but I tolerate him sometimes.
Yeah.
Jay as well.
Yeah.
I like Jay. David, Connor.
Is it David Wood?
Yeah. I've probably known him now longer than I have like anyone in wrestling.
So you training when you started?
Well, I'd known him like before we even started training.
Oh, did you?
I met him when I think I was in like year 3 or something.
Oh, did
Because
you?
he used to give me cheat codes for games because I didn't have internet back then. So I thought he was like a wizard or something. Because I had no idea how he was getting them. And we both liked wrestling as well. So when me and this guy started training, we brought him along a few weeks later. And they both ended up leaving, but David came back, and then he left again, and now he's came back. So it all came like full circle twice. But they're like probably my closest friends. There's people I meet at shows as well, who I don't really see outside wrestling, but I talk to them while I'm there. Luke Savage, Firebirds, Angel, all the rests.
Yeah.
And then I've got my Rise squad. I think that currently consists of Assassin, Ragnar, Lucas Marvel when he doesn't drop out at the last minute. I'm still salty about that.
Yeah.
He was meant to come out this weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, last weekend. I'm getting my days mixed up.
Yeah. Robbie Ryder.
Ryder's in there as well.
I was supposed to be coming, but I couldn't. I didn't have
You
the
need to
money.
come.
I'll come eventually.
You haven't lived until you've came to Rise. My shit posting on Facebook and Snapchat doesn't do it justice.
Aye.
You need to try Fire Bucket.
No,
It's like alcohol poisoning in a cup. It's
Aye.
great.
I don't want any sort of alcohol. I'm okay.
Bitch. I used to be straight edge one day. Then people were a bad influence and they took me to a pub on my 18th and got me really, really drunk.
I spent the last Rock at Trucks. I spent full night there without getting drunk or having any
You
alcohol.
pussy.
So
On my 18th, people were buying me pints and Jaeger bombs and shots, and Steve the Pirate was there, and he was trying to comfort me because it was my first time getting drunk, and I told him like to piss off and stop being so nice. So the next time he was out, he was a dick to me, and it made me very sad.
Do you watch a lot of wrestling? Whether it's WWE or UK?
Before I was like really training, I watched loads of it. Like I'd watch Raw and SmackDown every week.
Yeah.
And after I started, and I've heard like a few people say this, I kind of just stopped watching the amount I was, and I kind of like only watch like my favourites and that.
That's what I do. Like.
At the minute, I've been watching I watched the UK tournament in the World of Sports, and I saw bits of the Cruiserweight Classic last year.
That was good.
But aside from like them big events, I watch like the Rumble and WrestleMania and all that, even though more often than not they make me angry. There's been like a few Rumbles over the years where I've turned it off and went to bed in like a massive huff because like someone I didn't like won it.
Yeah, who won this year?
Randy Orton.
Randy Orton.
Again.
Who won the Rumble last year? I think
Triple H.
last year's Rumble I thought was one of the best ones I've done in years. Even though it was predictable that Triple H was going to win.
It was
But it was
either Triple H, Reigns or Lesnar. They were the three that people knew.
That Lesnar thing went nowhere as well.
Oh, I know.
With the Bray Wyatt.
I don't like Lesnar, so
Yeah,
I don't really care. But with Rumbles, I like it when new people win.
Yeah.
That's why like the past few years have just infuriated me to no end.
Triple H, Randy Orton, Batista.
It's guys
But
who
Roman
don't
Reigns-
need to win.
Roman Reigns won.
Like, I was happy but disappointed as big a Roman Reigns fan as I was, because like I liked that it was someone who hadn't won it, but at the same time, like, who didn't know he was gonna win?
I don't know.
Like, who didn't see that coming?
I mean, they get too predictable.
I'd say like the last unpredictable Rumble was when Sheamus won it that time.
Aye.
That was the last time I wasn't kind of raging at the end of a Rumble.
I remember we got to the final two and it was Jericho, and Jericho had just returned.
I thought it was Jericho,
Yeah, I thought Jericho was
so
gonna
they
win.
actually really surprised me.
So that was
I
good.
wasn't even that big a fan of Sheamus, but I leapt out my seat and I was like punching the air. I was like in my underwear and socks. Just I was happy because he was a new winner, so I didn't mind.
Yeah. Who's the best person you've trained with? Like, learned the most from?
Seminars or training?
Both.
In terms of just general training, obviously NGW. I've been there like since June last year.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, I'm good with my dates. I think it was when was it? June 6th. That was my first session there.
Was that the open day?
That was the open day they did, where like they had the ring and everything.
I was there. I remember coming to that one.
I was at that one because like
That was when they had Drake helping as well.
they had like 3 groups, and like every 40 minutes or so we'd swap around, and like
Yeah, so it was like Rampage, Screwface, and
Prime.
was it Screwface?
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
Was he
Actually,
training?
no,
I don't think he was training that day, was he?
No, it was Howard's, Rampage and Prime.
Yeah, that's the one. They were good.
Because like a few days before that I'd done an MPW show up in Ashington, and I was talking to Prime a bit after, and he was just like telling me how I needed to like start getting along there, and how it would have like really helped with my career and that, if I can call it that at this point. I'll do it for the sake of this podcast. So like he was just telling me like that I needed to get along there and it would benefit me, and a year later I'd definitely done that.
Yeah.
With seminars though, Probably Ophidian from Shikara.
Alright.
A few years ago, Hybrid ran a 3-day camp with him, and I went along to all 3 days.
Was it here?
It was at Dynamics, the skate park.
Yeah.
The first day, it was a few years ago now, so I don't remember too much. I wrote down a load of the spots we did though, and I've probably still got them somewhere, so I might bring them back one day.
Yeah.
We covered like a bunch of rolls, that sort of thing on the first day. On the second day, we went through like a few spots and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then on the last day, we did like practice matches and all that sort of thing. And then we sat around and he gave us story time for a bit,
Aye.
just about his career. So I feel like it was because it was 3 days, I got the most out of that. But I've had pretty good seminars with like all sorts of names. There was Mikey Whiplash recently.
Oh, that was awesome.
At Absolutes.
I done that one.
That was brilliant.
It was really good.
Did you do the Wolfgang one? They had like...
No, I missed that.
Oh, that was good.
I met him on that day, but I didn't actually get to do the seminar. But I heard that was a good... We had one, but a really good one.
Yeah.
There was apparently a few strange drills, but...
I keep a list of all my seminars.
Yeah.
On my wrestling CV that I've sent out to a few people that actually worked, amazingly enough. I've actually gotten some bookings from my CV.
Aye.
But I keep a list of all my seminars, and those are like the few I can think of off the top of my head. There's a few from years ago. My first ever one was about 3 months into my training. We had one with Fire Ant,
Right.
another Shikara guy. But I'd only been training for about 3 months at the time, so I think I was one of the least experienced there. So I was quite nervous, but I survived.
Who are some of your favourite opponents that you've wrestled over the years?
Again, I keep a list of my favourite matches. I like my lists.
List of
I don't have it on me right now, and I wish I'd brought it along
Aye.
because it's on my tablet, but I can't bring that to a concert, sadly. I had a really good match last night. Me and Assassin versus Looking Sharp and Krieger.
Oh, right.
Oh, I think that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah.
If you're listening and I pronounced it wrong, I'm sorry.
Is that Proper Mental X or something?
There's a funny story behind that.
Is that actually what they're called?
They're called Proper Mental, but because some people put a kiss on the end of their messages,
God.
they put a kiss, so it looked like Proper Mental X.
Oh,
So that ended up on the match graphics and on the event page and everything. Until the day I thought it was Proper Mental X, and then we got corrected.
Oh, right.
But I really enjoyed that match.
Yeah.
We brawled a lot on the outside of the ring, and there was lots of chops, so I'm still stinging a bit today.
Aye.
But another good match was... Were you at MEW in January?
Was that
The
the
7-man North East title match.
like Slater, right?
Yeah, it was me, Nicky Starr, Slater, Crowbar, Ryder, and Mihai.
Yeah, that was good.
Am I missing anyone? Because I've only got 6 here and there was 7. Oh god, I forgot someone.
Adam Christ?
No, he wasn't in that one.
Oh, I'm not too sure.
Oh god. Never mind.
Apologies to whoever that was.
It was me. We forgot about me.
Oh god, right.
I think anyways. I really enjoyed that one.
Right.
I hit a really nice dive.
You did. That was a very nice dive.
I just remember I enjoyed the match, and I enjoyed the fact that I'd gotten onto MEW, because I'd say that and Absolute are probably the 2 top companies in the Northeast.
Yeah. What culture as well, but
I'd say What Culture, they started off as Northeast, but they're kind of running everywhere now. So
yeah.
I'd say the top company that's just in this area.
Absolute and MEW.
Yeah.
They're the 2 that I think of straight away.
I managed to get on Absolute last year somehow. I remember when they started up, I kind of took one look and thought, yeah, I'm never getting on their shows.
Yeah.
Too high a standard.
Yeah.
And for a while I thought that about MEW.
Aye.
I was at, I think it was the Northern Bash last year.
Yeah.
The one at the uni.
When you got really drunk.
I wasn't that bad.
You were pretty drunk.
It was all Drew's fault.
Yeah.
Drew was buying me drinks and
Yeah.
shots, and
That was when
he was a bad influence.
that was when the Wolves announced they were coming back, wasn't it?
I remember drunk Joseph was so happy. I was getting all emotional, like, oh, I knew they'd be back.
Yeah.
I was emotional for that whole show,
Yeah.
but that was the first MEW show I'd actually been to.
That was mine as well.
So
actually.
that kind of made me think, like, that's my goal for next year.
Yeah.
I'd set myself like a target that I'd give myself a year to maybe like hopefully get on that company.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it was 14 days into the new year,
Yeah.
I get contacted by the promoter, just like, oh, right, mate,
Yeah.
I've got a spot for you.
Aye.
And like I just stared at the message thinking like, holy shit. So
Aye.
my goal for 2017 happened a lot quicker than I was expecting. So I guess my goal now is to get back on,
Yeah.
have another show.
Aye. I'm sure you get back on.
14 days, hopefully I'll get that message. Hopefully it'll be deja vu all over again.
Favourite match you've ever had? Or matches?
I was just getting to that. My favourite match was probably what I had just over a year ago now.
Yeah.
Me and Oliver Barrett, no holds barred for the Embryonics title.
That was a really good match.
We went on a weapon hunt like about a week beforehand. We went out like to Wilkinson's and all that, looking for steel chairs, and we made like homemade kendo sticks and everything.
Yeah.
Those kendo sticks we made in my bedroom while like we were having like some cookies and that, because we got bacon trays, and there was going to be a spot in the match originally, which we totally forgot to do. I was going to pull a bacon tray out from under the ring, and I'd already put like some cookies on it. So I was going to like take the bacon tray, start throwing cookies at him, and then just twat him with the tray.
Oh.
It seemed funny in my head. I don't know how people would have reacted.
Yeah.
Hopefully they'll have liked it, but...
Aye. Well, I thought that match was really good, the way it was built to the big finish.
We try to put like some psychology in there, because when it's a weapons match, it's easy for like all psychology and logic to kind of go out the window, and people just want to hit each other. But
was that the finish when you done the Death Valley driver through the...
I hit that,
and then threw him back in?
and then he kicked out.
Did he kick out?
He kicked out, and then I got kind of all the weapons around the ring.
Oh, yeah.
Hit the move formerly known as the Black Veil Drive. That's not its name anymore, everyone. It's the AC 130 now.
Right.
I hit the AC 130 onto these weapons, and then I got the pin. Then I retained my title. Then I lost it about a minute later to what was essentially a cash-in.
And
then I was very sad because I went through all that and still didn't get to take the belt home.
Yeah. Oh,
there was supposed to be a storyline after that, building up to me winning it back, and then Georgie totally went and threw that out the window for a one-time shock with
Lewis Ryan.
Yeah, Lewis Ryan winning the title in his second match, which, like, I'm not saying like he didn't deserve it because he was training really hard at the time, but like I know he himself has said like it didn't make a great deal of sense. Because what was meant to happen was, from me winning the title the first time, I was always going to lose it and then win it back. But the plan was I was going to hold on to it for a few months. Eventually I was going to lose it in the circumstances I did. Then I was going to like fight my way through each member of Social Order. And then I'd eventually win it back. But what actually happened was I fought through a guy who had just been in Social Order for one show, and then a guy who hadn't appeared in like a year, and then I was given a title match, and then I won it. Then I lost it in my first defence.
Yeah.
Because I think Georgie was triggered with me.
Who won the... it was like a fatal 4-way match or something, wasn't it? Who won the title off Madden in that match? Who?
Me.
Was it you won it back?
I won the title back there. But that wasn't how it was supposed to happen originally. Like, I was always supposed to win it in a one-on-one match, and even then on the day, I wasn't, like, he almost changed his minds about me winning the title due to some circumstances, but that's best left unsaid.
Right.
There were some issues on the day. He got mad and he shouted at me, and I was very sad.
Right.
And then he was like, "Oh, you're not winning the title anymore."
Bit
Um,
unprofessional.
I'd booked the day off work that day because I was working at the fair.
Oh, yeah.
I was working at the fair at the time, and in
so
my
that's-
head I was thinking like, "Oh well, if you don't put the title on me, I'm just gonna quit."
Yeah.
And I nearly walked out that day because I'd been promised the title, and he nearly went back on his word.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, like, nobody knew what was happening, like, with storylines or anything. There was no direction, and it wasn't like I was as dependent on Rad Pro as I was at the time.
Yeah.
Like, I had outside bookings that got me kind of the work I needed.
Yeah.
But luckily, Rad Pro's in better hands now, and
Yeah.
it's good to see, like, someone in charge who's actually excited about
Yeah.
the future. And
It just seemed like there wasn't really much passion involved.
nah, like, for the past year, it was just kind of surviving,
Yeah.
for lack of a better term.
But
But now, I feel like it can become the company again now that it was a few years ago.
yeah, I was at that show in
Was that the one at the Neon?
yeah, the 4.9 or something.
Yeah. I forget which number it is now. I've been around for so long. My first show was 1.6 and I debuted on 2.2, so I've been around this long now, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I was 4.9.
Yeah.
That was a really big draw. They had over 100 people there.
I saw pictures of it and it looked brilliant.
It was a good show as well. So that was good. So like you say, like, it's better that they've got they're in better hands now. Like
It ended up being the trainees kind of running it.
yeah,
Even before he kind of ditched everyone and moved away,
yeah,
kind of left everyone in the dark, and
Mhm.
it was left down to Mr. Society to kind of
yeah.
take control, and he did a good job to his credit, but
Well,
like
Even with training, like for as long as I can remember, really, like he took the majority of the training sessions as well.
it's why I just started seeking elsewhere,
Yeah.
because I just wasn't getting anything out of that place anymore.
Aye, no, definitely.
But back to the original point, the No Holds Barred was my favourite match. We
Yeah.
kind of rambled on quite a bit there.
Yeah. So, is there any match that you've watched in full? Like this is why I love wrestling. This is like any match that you just love to watch.
It's probably an unpopular opinion, and people might be surprised given that I fucking despise one of the guys in it, but it was the main event of WrestleMania 31, Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns.
Aye, that was.
Everyone going into that match was saying, "Oh, this is going to be shit.
Uh-huh.
It's going to be terrible. They shouldn't be closing the show." But I was actually quite excited for it.
Yeah. Even before Rollins came in,
I was on
actually
the
a
edge
good
of my
match.
seat the whole time because
Uh-huh.
I think the reason I liked it so much was because I hate Lesnar and I love Reigns.
Mhm.
And Lesnar being the champion at the time, I really, really wanted to see Reigns win it.
Aye.
I didn't mind that Rollins cashed in because, like I like him as well, and it was really unpredictable. Like no one saw that coming.
Aye.
But that's probably my favourite match I've ever watched, with the exception of maybe like proper hardcore matches like
Yeah.
Edge and Mick Foley from that other WrestleMania.
Aye.
I'm a WWE mark, I guess.
Aye. Well,
As
I
much
am
as
too.
I don't watch it as much as I used to, I'd love to be there one day.
Yeah.
I feel like for the amount of travelling and all that sort of thing you've got to do, I feel like it would be worth it.
Oh, definitely.
I see guys leaving now, like Ryback going on to do podcasts and all that, just slating it.
Right back, like.
I was never really a fan.
No, I wasn't either, but like, right, when CM Punk left WWE, he done one podcast and then never mentioned it again.
Yeah.
Ryback's been on.
He's going on and on and
Yeah.
on. Did you hear the one where he claimed that they only brought Goldberg back because he left?
No.
And Ryback was claiming, "Oh, they only brought Goldberg in because I left."
Aye. No.
Yeah. Even the guy interviewing him was like, "Yeah, mate, you're chatting shit."
Yeah, I can't remember. I'm sure he said in a podcast that they had a booked. He got promised at WrestleMania that he was going to squash AJ Styles in a few minutes or something.
I feel like that might have been true at one point because like plans change all the time there. I don't think there's ever been a WrestleMania or anything like that where they've planned it a year in advance and it's all stayed like that.
Yeah, I don't think
especially 32 where like everyone was injured.
Yeah.
Like I've enjoyed the past few manias. I'd say from about 28 onwards, they've all been pretty good.
Yeah.
31 still my favourite though, and 26 was the first ever one I watched live. 27 was a bit meh.
That was awful.
Is that only because the Miz was in the main event?
No, but I thought the best match was CM Punk and Randy Orton, and it was on like third.
Fun fact, Aaron was at that one.
He was at it.
He's getting mentioned again.
Well, that was 27.
Yeah, he was there.
Aye.
It's funny because he went to WrestleMania and it was the worst one.
It was.
But that being said though, like we've had a few good manias now, so I feel like we're kind of due a shit one now.
I'm hoping Taker's match is good. He hasn't had. I haven't really.
I hope Roman wins. Just putting that out there. I hope Roman beats Taker.
I want to see him have a really good match because like last year he wrestled Shane.
It was all built around that one jump. Like when people think of that match, they don't think about like the half-hour build up to that. They just think Shane jumped off the cell.
It wasn't a bad match. It told a good story, but they didn't follow it up with what it was supposed to mean anyway. So like,
and then Shane was on Raw the next night, totally unfazed.
Yeah,
I think he had a black eye, and that was it.
Yeah, limping. But and then 31, Bray Wyatt wasn't a good match. But I think Bray Wyatt was injured.
He hurt his ankle or something through the day.
Yeah, 30 was horrendous.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant like the whole show.
No, just the Undertaker match. Like he had concussion, didn't he? It wasn't even the fact that he got beat.
I remember I kind of said a stupid thing that day, which came back to bite me on the ass. I was watching that show with Jay and Liam, Barrett and Kendall.
Yeah.
We were all at Jay's and we went to the garage to I think it was to get some alcohol and some food.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were walking back, we were talking about the full card, saying what we thought was going to be good. And I remember saying, "Oh, Taker's not going to lose tonight. That's not going to happen. I'd stake my life on Taker winning." And then Taker lost. Yeah. So I should be dead right now.
And then, what I was getting to was, I think the last great match he had at WrestleMania 29 with CM Punk.
I think, they shouldn't have ended the streak. Loads of people people are going to be debating it, even 10 years from now.
If they had ended the streak, it should have been Shawn Michaels.
I just don't think anyone should have.
I don't think anyone should have, but if they were going to do it,
they should have got him to either 20-0 or 25-0 and then just left it.
Yeah.
If they were going to end it for any reason, then that should have been it.
Aye.
Because they ended it at 30,
Aye.
Then he was never seen again, until 31, and they kind of just swept the whole, but he lost last year under the rug.
Yeah.
You can't just end the streak and then not. Mm-hmm. Lesnar used it. Lesnar and Heyman were milking that for months, but Taker kind of just went home.
Right. The final question.
How long have we been doing this now?
We have been way over time. We're nearly an hour.
Wow.
Right.
Sorry everyone if we've taken this long of a day.
This has definitely been the longest one, but I don't think too many people.
I'm privileged.
What do you see wrestling as an art or a sport? Or both?
I see it as both. It's art in the way that you plan it and you go out there and you try and tell a story and you get nice flashy outfits to do it in.
Yeah.
I like that. But it's a sport as well because pretty much everyone in WWE eats and trains like athletes, like they should. And you're not going to be able to do it if your cardio is shit or if even if you're not in good shape, you can still do it, but it will help if you're in better shape.
Even Kevin Owens,
oh yeah,
he's not the stereotypical guy, but he's in shape. Just I don't know.
I'd say with him, he kind of his gear suits his physique. He'd look out of place if he was wearing a shiny singlet and just all that.
Mhm.
But I'd say it's like an art form and a sport.
I definitely agree. So yeah, thank you for coming on.
Been a pleasure.
I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope everyone who's watching us, listening, has enjoyed it. Oh yeah, are you like social media? If you can't remember them, I can put them in there.
Oh no, I've got them. Let me just find my Twitter really quickly. I have a Facebook page, Joseph Biggs, professional wrestler.
Yep.
There's a dash in there as well between Biggs and professional.
Yeah.
My Twitter, even though I barely use it, is, I think, well, it's just loading up here now, Joseph Biggs 1996.
Yeah.
And I have Instagram for those of you who want to follow me,
Yep.
Joseph_Biggs. And I would give out my Snapchat, but then we're just getting a bit personal.
Yeah,
And
fair enough.
I mean, if you want me on Snapchat, it's on my Instagram anyway, so go for it.
Yeah.
It's just dogs and gym photos.
Yep. So thank you everyone for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you all later. Bye. Right guys, before you go, I just want to say a massive thank you to Shield Pro Wrestling Shooter Community Centre, who allowed me to record. Shield Pro Wrestling allowed me to record at their show, and the community centre of Shooter. They let me record at their venue, and they didn't have to do that. That goes for both of them. It means a lot. So yeah, thank you to both of them. If you ever want to come and see a Shield Pro Wrestling show, I highly recommend it. The next show is on the 29th of April. Of course at Shooter Eid, and it's the finals of the Almost Pro Championship tournament, where we'll see Fracture the Clown versus Joseph Biggs, which will be an awesome match, as well as everything else on the card. So I'm looking forward to that. I hope you will all be there. If you ever want to train to be a pro wrestler, Shield Pro Wrestling run training on Sundays at 11 till 5, so you can check that out there. Like I say, come to the show. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Thank you to Joseph Biggs, because it ran on a long time, but he was really cool about it. He said I could have went another hour. I wish I had that much time to do it, you know what I mean? But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too long for you. But like I say, hope you enjoyed it, and make sure to tune in for the next episode. All the links will be in the description, and I'll see you all later.